So in my time as an influencer, I've been sent all sorts of special boxes. Big ones, small ones, wide ones, flat ones, skinny ones, hexagonal ones, faux leather ones, multi-tiered ones, but I gotta say, a wood box is a first. So you might remember Altered, a game I covered a few times over the past year and a half between covering one of the beta tests to giving it an award for its reserve mechanic, where the cards you play have a chance of getting played a second time or used for some other effect, turning the one-and-done concept of most card games on its head. Well, they recently released their first expansion set called, as shown on the box, Trial by Frost. Don't know if that's a Viking pun or not, but seeing as I am currently in my own Trial by Frost, it seems like a good time for me to get cozy and give it a look. So, in our unfinished wooden box, we get a half booster box of packs and, ooh, a scarf. Don't know if this is any sort of brand, but it's getting used for sure. Altered, as you hopefully remember, is a game about going on exploratory adventures in untamed magical wilderness. And what else makes that adventure all the much more difficult than snow? And in the spirit of the cold of winter, several harsh new mechanics have been introduced. Exhaustion and cooldown are a pair of matching mechanics that basically brings the sleep status to reserve. An exhausted card in the reserve cannot be played from reserve that turn, and any card with cooldown enters the reserve exhausted. This is an interesting mechanic as it allows some more aggressively costed cards to have a downside on the back end, helps prevent infinite loops, adds a new avenue of interaction with the power to stun your opponent's reserve cards, and works differently from sleep as, while sleep is basically a worse version of anchored, a player must still cull cards from their reserve at the end of their turn, and you might have to make some tough choices if it got cluttered with exhausted cards you had hoped to play on that turn. The other new mechanic is a new card type, Expedition Permanence. Up until now, the only permanent cards, that being cards that stayed in play between turns, were landmarks, which, like reserves, got culled down to a limited number at the end of your turn. These new Expedition Permanents are instead played into one of your two Expedition Zones for an effect, but are treated as anchored unless the expedition advances. It is yet another way to prep for the next turn if one of your expeditions is a lost cause. And as an added touch, most of these expedition permanents are winter gear to help weather the storm. The set itself also has a charming unified theme, with art that's full of wintry, snowy imagery involving cold weather creatures and supernatural forces. And 6 different versions of what is basically Dark Depths, one for each faction. You get a Dark Depths, you get a Dark Depths, you get a Dark Depths, everyone gets a Dark Depths! And speaking of tokens, I know a lot of folks have been waiting for them to add the Tumult pieces to the packs, and here they are, residing in the token slot, also decked out in wintry goodness. A lot of the tokens have also been winterized. Which leaves the hero slot in a bit of a bind. Trial by Frost introduced 0 new main characters, instead opting to recycle the ones from the first set. Personally, I'm conflicted on this. On one hand, it might have been nice to see some new heroes that lean more on the new mechanics, though on the other, at least the Game Genic pawns aren't out of date. Though I think we can all agree it's a shame that these cards didn't get the same sort of winter treatment as the other ones, especially since small changes to arts are a big selling point of Altered. Oh well, at least they aren't here displacing other cards that belong in here, unlike another game I could mention. A few notable cards. Axiom makes a lot of use of exhausted cards, with cards that ready them, play them, and even expand your reserve with them. The rare version of Garrick Revered Duelist can be a menace forever as he gains boosts instead of fleeting. Technical Boots help offset the fleeting shenanigans of Bravos, and Eat Me Energy Bars lets you be efficient with your big boys. In Lyra, Nyala Gifted Conjurer can get some of your pricier reserve effects into play while recycling cards and nullifying exhaustion. Silent Knight can help you set up Lyra's alternate win condition when combined with the Ouroboros, and Heimdall can teach you archery! In Muna, Persephone is just plain mean, which then ties in with their core strategy of bringing the green even when it's snowing. Ordis focuses almost entirely on comeback mechanics, but also has a lot of anti-sleep, which seems a bit too niche to be useful if I'm being honest. Izmir doesn't seem to have gotten as much, focusing on mana moths the same way Axiom gets brass bugs, but also getting some brutal removal in the form of freeze and blizzard. On top of that, every faction got a card that exhausts a card in reserve, and again, their own miniature Dark Depths. There seems to be a new card treatment as well, with alternative arts for some common cards, I guess in an effort to give the packs more inherent value. And of course we have the return of the foilers. So I do think it's an interesting set, even if it can be laser focused in some places, but I really do hope that the next set they come out with introduces some new heroes to play with, as the lack of those that leaned into the new mechanics, as well as a lack of errated versions of the existing hero cards, was a bit of a wasted opportunity. Again, I've already scanned these cards into the app, so don't bother. Still not sold on this code system unless it lets me fill out the playsets of my rares and I'm actually allowed to bring those decks to tournaments. Anyway, thanks to Altered for giving me the chance to review these cards, and until next time, I think I'm gonna finish this box.